Hey everyone, Rachel here. I'm an oracle, spiritual healer, and teacher. And today we're going to look at the full moon for July. And I always look at the sidereal astrology or Vedic astrology through sort of a Western lens instead of Western or tropical astrology. And there's not always a difference. Sometimes it falls in the same sign, but I think at least this year it's has been different every month for the full moon. So in real star time, the July moon is in Sagittarius, and there's some Gemini in the mix there as well. So those are the two things I'm going to focus on today. Before I get going, if you like the content, that you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video. It helps sort of move it and push it in front of more people and helps the channel grow. So I would appreciate that if you're inspired. So here we go. So we have Sagittarius, fire sign. We have Gemini, the air sign, right? And the air stokes the fire, right? It keeps it going. It can make it brighter, right? And I want you to think about the fire as a transformational, piece, right? It's the energy of transformation. And the air fueling that flame, making it brighter and clearer, okay? So the fire bringing light to things, right? And I've written all this down because sometimes it's easier just with time and everything to sit and get the message, write it down, and then I'll pull some cards. So bringing light to things internally and externally brings clarity to the mental plane. So that's really what this is about. It's not sort of necessarily for this full moon, not really so much of a physical like detox or physical clearing. This is with the Gemini, that's the mind. It's this mental clearing that's taking place. Yes, so bringing clarity to the mental plane, which equates to clearer understanding taking place, seeing things more for what they truly are. So if you're in a relationship, understanding the dynamics of the relationship better, understanding a project, all of a sudden getting clear on your health, like understanding what's going on health-wise with yourself, that sort of thing. So internally, I just explained that. So what you believe, where you stand, what action you want to take, and stepping and standing in that truth. So you get that clarity and it's like, oh, okay, now I know what to do. Oh, okay, I'm going to do this, that sort of thing. Externally, this looks like seeing people and situations more clearly, or seeing through lies, deception, manipulation, corruption, things like that. So again, like another veil coming off all of us collectively. So Sagittarius, the energy there, it's like a warrior. It's a warrior type energy. Think of like a spiritual warrior, right? It's that sort of strength. And in this case, sort of warrior of light, although it doesn't have to express itself that way, but I'll get to that in a second. So paired up with the polarity of the Gemini. So Gemini, the two sides of the coin, right? It's the light and the shadow. Same with the mind. The mind can be positive and productive, right? Or it can be destructive and negative. So for some, that warrior-like energy, that strength, will go towards causes of the light, moving forward, constructive thought patterns, that sort of thing. For others, it causes the continuation of unhealthy patterns, or the shadow, right? That destructive sort of nature. Either way, there is an increase in feeling one's strength and stamina towards whatever their beliefs are. So whatever they've they've gotten clear on in themselves. It's that strength and stamina, energy to do it, to energy to move forward. It is somewhat of a very thoughtful full moon in that it's sort of encouraging us to have that internal dialogue around our feelings and beliefs, acknowledging like maybe it's like even almost a different perception or a different perspective of something because we have all of a sudden gotten this level of clarity. So that's the inner dialogue part. Uh-oh, I had to split this in between pages. Okay, here we go. There are some big shifts I see taking place with this full moon. And it's this wave of energy that I saw at the beginning of the month when I did the monthly energetic forecast. So part of this wave is energy, is like a wave of more information being uncovered. And how they described it to me, it's like lots of information coming into our awareness. It's like one thing after another, one thing after another. It's like, like a tidal wave of just information that floods the collective for us all to sort of take in. Again, it's like, and what it's doing, it's like waking us up, it's clearing our consciousness, lifting those veils. And yeah, it's going to help set things into motion, things that will help prevent, if you're in the US or interested in what's happening in the US, from things getting really bad, like completely collapsing. I don't see things completely collapsing. And what I mean by that is like more of the economy, right? Because that's such a big part of a country and its sustainability is the economy completely collapsing. So, and I've talked about this before in other videos. I'm not sure which ones, if they were the monthly forecasts or full moons, or I don't know. But in the past, I've talked about this where people coming together, making plans, strategizing, innovation, taking action. It's been happening, but it will continue to happen on this sort of domino effect. And so it's going to continue. I mentioned this before also about the Mark Cuban types, the people who have some level of power, of influence, have some level of success, sort of stepping in and helping the country move forward. And and here we've heard recently that he has an interest in helping Musk start a third party. And the key there is that it's moving and shaking up the norm to bring in some new life and some new change that'll help shift the dynamic of our government so it's not so polar, right? Which is two-party system. There's only, anytime there's ever been another party that's attempted to form, it hasn't been very successful. And I'm not going to read into if this one's going to be successful, but it's about the energy of coming in and doing something to help move things forward in a more positive way, where it's not this polarity, it's not one side against the other side, where there's not really a tie break, right? There's not like these coalitions within the government really forming like what can take place if there are multiple parties, right? There's multiple perspectives that can then come together, share their ideas, and then create something from that, right? When we only have two-party system, what has turned into is one side against the other side. So that's really what you want to think about, is those types of people, including himself, that are going to sort of save, help us go from going into that collapse. Yeah, staying afloat, transitioning into something new. Yeah. So let me pull some cards on this. And I'll take a quick look at that part too. Some of these people won't be as famous as Cuban, they might be famous within their field, but not, not in the news, or, a common name that we're all familiar with. So just keep that in mind too. But it's that sort of person who has um, has prominence in their field, a certain level of money and, power in that way, and is politically involved in some level, on some level. Again, like that Mark Cuban type. And I'm just shuffling, trying not to get too close to the microphone. Okay, so let's see what else. Transcending. Yeah. So what they're saying, this has to do with that, again, like that tidal wave of energy that's coming in, and it's having that purification effect, bringing things more into clarity. And so what's happening is we're coming into a higher state of consciousness while all that's taking place. So we're transcending sort of the chaos, and I don't want to say drama right now, because it's almost like a tornado, right? Like if a tornado was spitting things out, it's just like one thing after the other thing after the other thing, and it's just a cyclone of a mess. That's what it's more like right now. And so as this information continues to come out, we get these sort of little upgrades energetically. Um, it's like we're transcending it all because we're seeing it clearly. We're not getting caught up in it. And so that's really positive, really positive. Protection. Okay, so this is sort of layered. The first part is we have a lot of help in the spiritual world around all the transitions that are taking place. Now, what they want to mention is, some of the natural disasters and the wars and people getting hurt and the people not being fed, all of that. A lot of it is sort of, part of the purification process. It's like the death throes, when, how do I put it? It's like if someone is losing control, that's used to being in control and in power, how they'll put up more of a fight because they know it's slipping away, before it completely slips away, right? The energy intensifies. There's even more sort of pressure. There's more control trying to, be had, that sort of thing. And so it's like the cyclone or the tornado right before it just dies down. And we're a ways away from that because it's going to feel like we have multiple cyclones that take place before we really get to the place where it's calm or it feels like the storm's over. So just know that some of that, a lot of it, has to do with that. And in regards to the natural disasters, it's Earth's way of doing the same thing, because it's so out of balance right now, because of humans, because of the decisions we've made, mostly collectively. There's our individual decisions, but um, you know, without getting into all of, how we get conditioned and the lack of choices we sort of have, and people in power making choices, really for all of us, like, well, we don't have any other option other than to buy, you know, bottles that are full of chemicals, sort of thing, like, or we can't afford to buy that. So, what's my point? I lost my train of thought, but so the Earth doing the same sort of thing. So the uptick in the weather and the natural disasters and, the volcanic energy, the seismic energy, the wind and the water, all of it is Earth reacting in that way too. So it's all connected. It's not separate. We're feeling all of that, and vice versa. And the Earth is feeling all of our attention, anxiety, push pull energy as well. So yeah. But I do see that calming down next year into 2026, where the weather won't be as intense. Yeah. Okay. Oh, here we go. Trust. Trust the process that's taking place right now. And this I know is really difficult because on the surface it can appear one way. And because no one has all the answers, no one can see everything, no one can know everything. Depending on how much access we have to information, it can be, and the experiences we carry, it can be really difficult to trust that everything will be okay, that it's moving in the right direction, that you won't lose your home. I'm not saying but the trust that we're moving in the process. So if you do lose your home, there will be things put in place either locally, on a very local level, and or eventually, on the sort of national level, where you're going to be taken care of, that sort of thing. So this process is in some ways long. In some ways long, this process of moving from one reality into another reality, right? A reality that's actually going to be helpful for people, and one that's only was helpful for some. It's going to, I'm sure, feel like a long process. And in some ways it will be. In some ways it will be. But just the trusting that we are moving in the right direction, that these things will get exposed, that the people who have done wrong will be held accountable. That's coming. It's coming. So some patience is required as well. Deliberation. They're saying that has to do with what side of history you want to be on. And that's for everyone to decide. What side of history do you want to be on? And even if you think in the bigger picture, karmically, what karma are you creating for yourself? What karma are you repeating? What karma are you healing? What are we healing collectively, karmically? And I've talked about that too in past videos. Like, so much of what's happened in the last several months, and continues to happen, is karmically related. Are we going to repeat those old patterns, of the patriarch and being under someone's thumb and handing our freedom, handing our power over? Or do we, really allow ourselves to be sovereign and have boundaries in a healthy way, and build the things, not be afraid, not live in fear, but build the things we want to see, we want to be a part of, be in the communities we want to be a part of. And yeah. So in all those ways, what side of history do you want to be on? Within the context of the world, but in the context of your spirit, your soul. Okay, a few more cards. Sorry, my allergies are bothering me and my eyes get so itchy. Okay. Create adventure. Yeah, take a risk, venture forward. This has to do with, don't let, again, what what the facade is, what's on the surface, hold you back from living, hold you back from creating, hold you back from taking that trip, hold you back from taking the risk. That's important, because otherwise we feed into the fear. We feed into the old karmic pattern of, this is impossible. I can't do this. I have to be afraid. I have to protect myself. I have to hide, all of that. And that's really sort of that basic survival energy, right? Of that first chakra, like not feeling safe just to exist. So it's really important that we don't fall into that place. And if you've had those feelings, it's okay, right? It's important to acknowledge that that's coming up for you, if it is, and to then make a different choice so that you don't fall into that pattern and you don't let what the appearance of things are dictate then how you live. So that's what that card's about. Okay, one more or two. Gates of Triumph, yeah. Again, this is about us moving in the right direction. It will eventually be better. I promise. I promise. Yeah. A breakthrough is at hand. A breakthrough. Something's gonna open up. And like I read for this monthly forecast, I saw this tension. And then again, like this great wave coming through and releasing that tension. And we'll see what that is. I'm not sure what exactly it'll be. Maybe it has, some sort of international aspect, or maybe it's just the information that's going to come forward that's going to release that sort of build up. We'll see. All right, so that's the reading for our full moon cycle. I hope this served you well. Bye.